Sure.
I wanted to ask you something that you mentioned a few weeks ago back on an AEW show on March 23rd in Austin. So I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, so feel free to correct me if you want to. But you came out and you had mentioned how special and important the city of Austin was to you. And you had mentioned something about how vital South by Southwest was to you as far as the formation of AEW. So I wanted to ask you, like, what about the event, like, gave you the inspiration of, like, forming the company potentially? And, like, another question about South by Southwest, if you're a fan of it, would AEW host anything there?
Oh, man, do we lose? Oh, he's right there. Hey, we never know. We've had great crowds there. Every time we've gone, they've been really hot. So to start with, they've been great every time we went. We went back there. That was our second show back on the road, and it was Fighter Fest night 1. The Darby,
There.
you were there? That's awesome. Darby Ethan Page coffin match was a great match and a great night. And so thank you for asking. It's a great question, and I'll give you the last of my long answers, and hopefully, but it's a memorable one, and it relates to somebody you know. I don't know if you know this story, Dave. So first of all, Austin, Texas. It was a true story. I told CM Punk. Was it CM Punk, Dustin? What was it, the match in Austin that CM Punk wrestled?
CM Punk and Dax. Recently.
Dax, that's right. So I told Punk, this is one of the best crowds we have. And I went and told the crowd right before, if you remember, I was like, I have a friend in the back, and I told him this is one of the best crowds we have, and he's about to come out here. And then you all started chanting CM Punk, and it was about as perfect as a crowd warm-up can go, because I didn't even say anything, and you guys started chanting it. And then it was what I wanted. And then the show went live, and 1.2 million people were watching you right then, and it was like CM Punk, CM Punk, CM Punk. So you were awesome again and again and again. You always have been. One of the best Dynamites we ever did was 3 weeks before Revolution. I actually flew. Yeah, it was great. I didn't know you guys had a direct flight to London. I learned. I flew out to London on British Airways, and then flew back to Atlanta for another one of the best Dynamites ever. And South by Southwest, I was on a panel with some of the most distinguished people in pro sports and just sports media, and but the CEO of my company was moderating, and there were people up there that included Nate Silver and Daryl Morey, who was a friend and a mentor to me, and he was the GM of the Rockets at the time, and he's now the GM of this Philadelphia 76ers. He's a really smart person. He's always been very nice to me. And now that he doesn't have Ben Simmons on the Nets now, right? So when I edited it off the show when Ben Simmons got booed. I told him I would. He said, I heard there was a Ben, he texted me. He's like, I heard there was a Ben Simmons thing on the show. And I was like, don't worry, Daryl. There won't be on Friday. And so I was on there with Daryl and Nate Silver and Rafe Anderson, the CEO of True Media and the founder, and co-founder, along with Jeff Stern. And Jeff Stern and Rafe Anderson. So they were on stage with me, and I saw Chris Nowinski in the back. And Chris asked me a question about safety and has now worked with the NFL and got to know him better. But he asked me a question, and that's how I first got to know Chris. He asked me a question at this big panel of guys, and I saw in the back, it was like back where Greg's sitting back there with more people in the room. And it was at a private event. Jim, the Raptor House. Jim, does anybody know from Boston sports? This is pathetic. Raph, you might know. Jim, the Raptor House. Roma. AC Roma, Jim, what a great guy. That's pathetic of me. I'm sorry it's so late, guys. He invited me, and Nowinski was in the back, and then I talked to him after, and we built a real lasting friendship, and that was kind of the first person I ever knew that I watched on TV as a pro wrestler that, like, I met in person, because like I said, I talked to Pillman, DDP, Luthez, different people online, and they were really nice. DDP gave me tickets to a Nitro I couldn't use because I was a kid and I had school, and I didn't live in Florida back then, and they were great tickets. And we used to have conversations about like psychology of wrestling. I was 12 years old, and the fact that he even like would talk to people. He took fan feedback before people did that, and on Twitter and social Instagram, and he did it on AOL dial-up. And that's how, and that's just probably a morsel of how he got to where he is because of the hard work and that he did beyond what other people did, right? And so with Austin, I was up there, and that's how I made the connection with Chris. And then then it's been such a special town for AEW. And like I told Punk, I said, this is going to be like one of the greatest things. And I told the crowd, and you guys made it. You were great for Punk and Dax. 52 weeks of road on the year. Sometimes I do forget things. But that was one of the best matches we've had on TV and one of the best moments. So you guys have been great. And that was the kind of formative moment for me in the wrestling business in early 2014, right? That would be like February. And then the 2018, I was in a position 4 years later to have a conversation with the president of TNT and TBS that probably led to the more so than anything else to the creation of the company. So I love Austin. Thank you.